The Tour of California's first day on the open road brought the always expected and often futile breakaway. Jackson Stewart built a lead of more than 12 minutes, but the rugged climbs of the Pacific Coast Highway took their toll, and the young American was caught. And so the streets of Santa Rosa roared in anticipation of the sprint finale, and Quick-Step appeared to have the race under control for big Tom Boonen. But another giant of the sport, JJ Haedo, would not be denied. That's 5 stages in 3 years for JJ. And now Team CSC have 2 from 2 this week. Stage 2 is another one for the sprinters. Can anyone stop the Argentine assassin? The Amgen Tour of California continues next on Versus. Today dawns as day 3 of the Amgen Tour of California. The riders have now found the capital of the state, and the riders coming into Sacramento today, and possibly by the time they get here, the rain will have joined us as well. But nothing will dampen this great race, because indeed the crowds have been huge. Hello everybody, welcome back to our coverage on Versus. I'm Phil Liggett, Paul Showin, and with Bob Roll. Well, yesterday the finish in Santa Rosa did see the sprinters take it out in the end, but it was a hard day of racing, Paul.
Very good, very difficult day of racing for the sprinters with that climb towards the end, but I think we'll see a different team come to the fore today, because Team Quick-Step really lost out yesterday, and their big man Tom Boonen finished a very lowly 69th, and he won't want to leave the Tour of California with a performance like that. He'll want to win.
Well, you see, with the Pro Tour teams, the top teams in the world of cycling, they have horses for courses. They have a time trial rider, they have a hill climber, and they have a sprinter. And at the moment, Bob, it is a time trial rider, Fabian Cancellara, who is leading this tour.
Because of the time up for grabs in the first individual stage, the prologue, it was a time trial. Cancellara, the fastest man. The time bonuses out on the road so far, not enough for anybody to take that yellow jersey from Cancellara. He still leads on cumulative time. That's the lowest amount of time to get down to the finish line each day, day in and day out. So far as Cancellara dominating.
All right, well, so far we've only ridden 117 miles of the 650, and Fabian Cancellara is the man in the yellow jersey. Yes, and it all happened in the prologue time trial at Palo Alto. Fabian Cancellara, dressed in the tunic of a world time trial champion, he scorched around the course. He predicted he'd do 3:50. He did 3 minutes 51. It was by far the best time, and that gave him the yellow jersey. And then onto stage 1, it was a battle of the sprinters as they came up. The man highlighted there, JJ Haedo, as he came through the traffic and clear of the field. He could wave at the riders racing for second place. Small win bonus didn't affect the overall standings, and the salute there by the yellow jersey of Cancellara, it was his teammate winning. Poor old George Hincapie, he was left sitting on the road less than half a mile from the finish, and he chipped in, but he would lose no time under a special race rule. But the man in the hot seat by just a 2-second buffer, Fabian Cancellara, is still in the leader's yellow jersey. And that's how it stands today. Cancellara 2 seconds ahead of Tyler Farrar. In third place, Bradley Wiggins at 4 seconds. Leipheimer, last year's overall winner, sits in 4th. David Miller in 5th. Of the other time trial champions, Larsson of Sweden is still in 6th. Zabriskie of the United States in 7th. And completing the top 10 there, Christian van der Velde. George Hincapie hangs on to 11th place despite that fall. And the winner yesterday, JJ Haedo, he is in 13th place, looking for 12 seconds today.
Stage 2 has the riders riding 115 miles from Santa Rosa to the state capital, Sacramento. And it's not going to be an easy ride either, because out on the route there are 2 King of the Mountain sprints and 2 intermediate sprints where the riders will battle out for time bonuses. And of course, 3 2-mile circuits to finish at the end. Last year's winner here was no other than JJ Haedo.
Yes, that really is quite amazing, because Haedo was our winner yesterday. This is the situation at the start, Bob. Who would want this in Santa Rosa? The rain has already begun, and it's 45 degrees.
All the riders needing a pay raise to start this stage. Miserable conditions, 45 rain, even a little bit of snow forecast for the top of the climbs as they get a little bit higher up in elevation. But for the start, absolute misery for the bike racers.
Yes, the commentator's nightmare at the moment, because the riders wearing all the dark racing capes over their numbers here. 132 riders, nobody dropped out. The 17 teams all complete as they now roll away from Santa Rosa, which has been a very loyal host of a stage of this race since it first began in 2006. But the rain is with us, Paul. The forecast is we might even see snow on the mountains, and I would have thought that Levi Leipheimer here might wanted to stay at home with his family today. He lives in Santa Rosa.
Would have been a good day to stay at home, because after 17 miles is the first climb of Trinity Grade, and he certainly knows about that. I'm sure he's trained over that a number of times. 69th place yesterday for Tom Bonan. He will want to go better than that to this day, because Tom Bonan so far this season has had himself already 4 wins, and he won't want to go away from the United States without a victory.
Yes, there's Fabian Cancellara, the man in yellow, although you wouldn't know it right now. His racing cape is covering it up. But he's looking very relaxed and very happy. He's actually predicting he might lose the lead in the next couple of days, but he's very confident he can still win this race towards the end of the week. We'll find out. The action starting straight away. I'm not surprised these guys want to get warmed up. This looks like Scott Neidham here. He's only a second-year professional, but he's starting to stretch his legs. And look at this determination. They're also not just combating the wind, Paul. They're combating quite a the rain. They're combating quite a strong headwind too.
Well, this was a good move. In fact, you can see as him moving away there. It looks like Dave Zabriskie trying to get himself on par.
So the race is underway. We'll take a break, come back, rejoin us. The first climb is next. So the move by Scott Neidham coming in the opening miles. He's now on the first climb of the day of Trinity Grade. Now we've given this a second category, which puts it up amongst some of the steepest climbs on the race. And Paul, the slopes of this gradient vary by up to 10%, which is 1 in 10.
It's a very long, I'm very sorry about the breakup. That's because these pictures are being beamed up from the motorbike to a fixed wing plane over the top of us and down to the finish line. Difficult climatic conditions this afternoon for the television. In the main field, there's no real reaction. There's the yellow jersey of Fabian Cancellara. Again, I think listening to Bob's tips from yesterday, Bob, riding at the front end of the pack.
Right in the front end, it's going to be slippery on the descent, and you want to go over the top of this climb in a good position so you don't have to make up any ground on the descent. And you can see the yellow jersey right at the front where he needs to be. Here is our leader out on the stage going through the KOM. You can just see it there with the picture breakup. These are very serpentine country roads, and that's Scott Neidham going over the Trinity Grade Cat 2 King of the Mountain. He'll get some points for that competition.
And that will keep the lead in the King of the Mountains competition very much within his own team, because it was his teammate Jackson Stewart who made a long raid at the front of the Amgen Tour of California yesterday.
That's right, but there's still one more climb to come today. It's only a 4th category, so you don't get so many points in the California Tourism King of the Mountains competition. But now he'll begin what I think will be a very cautious descent here. These roads absolutely treacherous today. He'll make his way down. The last time we had a check, it was 4 minutes to the back group, and Levi not too concerned at this stage of the day as they're on the way up the climb. Leipheimer thinking to the steeper grades, which come on Wednesday and on Sunday, where he might make his move. There's Mario Cipollini, who's becoming a bit of a star of this race. He's come back out of retirement, and that is the profile of the route. We top out at 1,800 feet today, and then gradually, ever so slowly, we go downhill until we have the flat run in to the finish here in Sacramento.
Makes it very difficult to start with a big climb like this just after 17 miles of racing, but I think the reason they've allowed Neidham to go clear off the front is, in fact, he finished in one of the rear groups yesterday. He lost himself 5.5 minutes on the stage, so currently he's not really dangerous to the overall leader, Fabian Cancellara.
All right, well, let's talk about Bobke's key to the race. Now, by the way, the term Bobke, that's an affectionate name in the Dutch language for our own Bob Roll.
The energy conservation of the GC men is critical on a stage like today. You don't want to close any gaps. You don't want to expend any energy than is absolutely necessary to maintain your position within the peloton and be sure you get the same time as the sprinters when we get down to the finish line. You can see Levi Leipheimer doing just that right in the front. He is the man in the Stars and Stripes jersey of Astana as national road champion. Cancellara in exactly the same spot on the road. He knows he wants to go over the top of the climb in good position so he doesn't have to fight to find his way back into the front of the group. And that's the way for a week of racing, you stay near the front and conserve as much energy as possible. Once we get to the time trial and the steep climbs, then you have to give maximum energy that you have so you can stay in the front. It's all about time, and you have to keep on staying at the front.
Well, as we look here at the leaders, Mario Cipollini is on the front. Now, he's not a climber, he's a sprinter. An indication, I think, to the experts that the pressure is not yet on. But it'll be on all season now on Versus. That's Cyclism Sundays I'm talking about. And we will catch up on March the 9th with a great race from Paris to Nice. That's Cyclism Sundays, presented by Hampton Hotels, only on Versus. And we are, of course, the home also of the Tour de France. Paris-Nice, a big race, will open the European cycling season there. Well, he's now taken off his black top so we can see the maillot jaune, or the yellow jersey there, of Fabian Cancellara, and he's keeping control at the front of the pack. This man on a little bit of a runaway just now. Well, the 30-year-old Scott Neidham is now picking his way carefully down the mountain. The peloton are about to start their descent, and it looks as though it's going to be quite a treacherous one at the moment. And over the top of Trinity Grade at the moment, the gap, though, is 6 minutes to the main field. They have a lot of work to do, but then they've also got a long way to go. For the moment, it's all about Scott Neidham. We'll take another break. Welcome back, and the leader now, Scott Neidham, along Highway 128, reaching the 53-mile point here, and this the second and final climb of the day, and he is well clear. He is being chased by one rider, Jonathan Sunt of the Kelly Benefit Strategies team, but Paul, that one is 7:25 behind. The last time we saw the big pack, they were quarter of an hour back.
Yeah, but you have to remember, in the sport of professional cycling, when the main field starts to react at the end, they will start boring down into the streets of Sacramento at around about 40 miles an hour.
Well, that's where we are now, almost, Bob, the end of the hills for the day. Then it's a long flat run. So what's going to be the strategy now of the boys behind?
The boys behind, if you have a sprinter on your team, you have to close the gap to that man. They've given him a big lead, and it might be pretty hard to catch him. This man is in between our leader, Scott Neidham, and the peloton, led by the CSC team defending for Cancellara. And here is the time behind, 7 minutes and 25 seconds, a tall order to close the gap for Jonathan Sunt up to Scott Neidham. But the peloton is chasing now.
I think, Phil, once they get over the summit to this final big climb of the day, you will see a reaction. First of all, will start to come from Team CSC, as you can see here. But later on, once we've got over the mountains, I think we'll see Team Quickstep come to the front, because they will be an ally for CSC. They want to get Tom Bonen the win before tomorrow's very tough stage.
That's right. They're 15 minutes back at the moment, but they have picked up the pace very markedly now, and it's all been Team CSC. Now, as they've got the race leader, Fabian Cancellara, on their squad, it is kind of down to that team to pick up the race and try and drag their leader back into the action. But they also had the stage winner yesterday because they got a great sprinter in Haido, and he's won in Sacramento before.
But as Bob said, I think a little bit earlier, if you want to win a bike race like this, you've got to make sure that you make your efforts at particular points during the race, like the mountain stages, like the individual time trial. And Bob, I have to say, it might not be a bad thing if Fabian Cancellara was to lose the overall race lead today, even though we're looking at 2.5 hours in the saddle. This is a 650-mile race.
This is a long race. You got to conserve your energy throughout the week of racing. You can't defend the jersey without the upside, and that's to get a little bit of distance on your rivals. But so far, Cancellara content with just a 2-second lead over the rider from Slipstream, Tyler Farrar, who got a couple of those bonuses out on the road. There's 2 riders up the road, so these men content to follow CSC for the moment.
But they're all getting a little bit twitchy back there. Well, yesterday on the run into the finish in the last half mile, George Hincapie was in trouble. He had crashed at the start. And so George Hincapie left sitting on the road. Well, here he is now talking with Mari Holden.
So George, you crashed yesterday. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you're feeling today?
Yeah, I'm pretty beat up. I crashed going really fast underneath the bridge. I was trying to help Gerald out, and I pulled off at the same time that somebody was coming up forward, so it was really just kind of a freak accident. And it hit my head pretty good, so I had a little bit of a headache all night, but hopefully I'll feel better today as the race goes on, and hopefully by tomorrow I hope that I can recover from this.
Well, you must finish every day to ride the next day, and there he is in the white jersey, big George Hincapie, 2-time the American road race champion. He looks okay at the moment. He's just looking after himself in the center of the bunch and not too concerned with that breakaway up the road. He knows really the pressure is on the other teams just now, and particularly CSC, to try and chase this rider down. But this rider last year, Scott Neidham, he finished 6th in the Tour of Georgia. That's a race which is run in April. And that's a good indicator, and he's also a very good climber.
He is a very good climber. In fact, today he's got himself maximum points out on the open road, so he should be the leader in the King of the Mountains classification at the end of the day, ahead of his own teammate Jackson Stewart, who led this race yesterday. But I think what will go against him is the long 50-mile section of flatlands, Bob, as we lead into the streets of Sacramento.
It's virtually impossible for one man to deny the momentum of the peloton, and that's why we see these breakaways. They used to be called suicide breakaways because they almost never succeed. But if he gets a little bit more than the 15 minutes he has, it's going to take quite a long time for the peloton to chase him down. The roads are flat, so the advantage still rests with this big group and the momentum of the peloton.
All right, but he's still looking to make up that 5 minutes he's lost in the 2 days of racing. He's certainly done that at the moment. He is the race leader on the road because his lead is 15 minutes. Well, there's a lot of competitions in the Tour of California. One is the Best Young Rider, which is sponsored by the Bank of California. It's awarded to the under 24-year-old in the race. Just watch the rider tucked in on the far left, because that's Gerald Cholik. Got a little bit roughed up in the sprint there, but he's only a youngster, and he isn't that former under 23 world champion. Crosses the line there in 2nd place, and as he is now the best placed young rider under 24 in this event, and that's based on born on or after the 1st of January 1985. He gets to wear that jersey from the Bank of California in today's stage. And there is the man now. He's going back into the rain here, unfortunately. I thought for a moment the blue skies were going to intrude, but I have to tell you that the rain is beginning to spread all across the mountains towards Sacramento today, so it could be a long, wet ride for him.
Well, let's just explain a little bit, Phil, because on the run in towards the finish, you might think this man's got a massive advantage now of around about 15 minutes, but towards the end, he will continue to ride at an average speed of 25 miles an hour, where the main field, as Bob talked about, picking up their momentum, will be able to ride at 35 miles an hour, therefore wiping out a 10-mile advantage in the last hour of racing.
So the race is on behind now, but the race is also on, as we will hope you'll join us in Help Fight Cancer today, and text the words or donate to 222-377 and help make a difference. This is part of our Breakaway from Cancer initiative. It's $2 per entry, unlimited entries, but there are prizes and cheap overall clothing from the Tour of California. Please enjoy it with us, and please support Breakaway from Cancer. Very important indeed. All right, back with the lone leader, as he now has been out front for over 2 3/4 hours, and he's still got the thick end of 2 hours still to ride. It's not won yet by any means, but just how long can he stay away? We'll find out. We'll just take another break. Well, welcome back to the Amgen Tour of California. The hills are almost behind, but not quite yet behind the riders on today's stage. We're looking here at the second man, Jonathan Stunt, and the peloton has been driving now. The rain is desisting just a little bit, but Stunt, who went off on an attack, hoping to join up with the leader of the day, Neidham, Paul, I think he should have waited for them a long time ago, but here comes the catch.
Well, logic would have told him that once you get halfway across a gap like that, once you stop actually catching up with the leader, you might as well stay in the main field, because we keep stressing the fact that in a race like this, you have to make efforts that pay. And that was an effort which cost a lot of energy with no result.
Absolutely nothing for Sunt in that escape, and he was caught in no man's land between the peloton. That's Stuart O'Grady, who's done the tempo to close the gap down to Jonathan Stunt. And it is our leader, Scott Neidham. He's way up the road. So for Jonathan Stunt, he's maybe heard from his team manager to get back in the field and save some energy before the finish.
Well, that makes absolute sense here. Stuart O'Grady is the team captain of CSC, and he's got the race together, all bar one man at the moment. Let's remind ourselves where we are. We start in the morning in the wet Santa Rosa. We've crossed the 2nd category climb. We're heading for the smaller ones. We head to Sacramento. And now the next thing on the horizon will be a sprint in the beautiful town of Winters. This will take us through 66 miles covered.
Well, that's where we are on the profile. We've been over 1,800 feet in the early part of the race of that Category 2 climb. We're now getting onto the flat part of the course. This is a sprint point. There are 3 seconds for this man when he crosses the line, but it's going to be very important, the 2nd and 3rd places in the main field behind, because if Tyler Farrar can get himself a 2nd place finish, he puts himself on the same time, Bob, as the overall leader, Cancellara.
3 seconds will come off of Neidham's time, and then it'll be a big sprint for the riders behind, and Cancellara needs to conserve the 2 seconds that Farrar could conceivably get, and there you see the general classification as it stood at the start of the day.
Well, what we're going to see is a big race for second place with a 2-second time bonus for the best man from the rest of the group, and if Tyler Farrar gets it, he'll wipe out that 2-second deficit. Cancellara is on top, of course, in the leader's yellow jersey. Let's have a look back how it all went for Tyler Farrar yesterday, because he was the rider chasing the time bonuses. Let's have a look, and this all happened yesterday, remember. This is what happened. Mark Cavendish in the white here, Farrar taking him on. Cavendish got the better of him, and he would get 2 seconds here. The winner had gone through, remember, that day, 3 seconds up, but he got 1 second, but in all the 2 sprints, he got a total of 3 seconds yesterday, and he wiped out a lot of his deficit. If he can get the second place in Winters, Paul, he's up amongst the leaderboard with Cancellara.
I'm sure that's a dream for Team Slipstream Chipotle, Bob, because for them, that's an important thing to do before we go into a very tough mountain stage tomorrow. We've got 2 big mountains on tomorrow's road down to San Jose, and this is a big chance for Team Slipstream to get control.
Slipstream has made a lot of noise. They need to get some results now, and even one yellow jersey during the Tour of California would be a great result for Slipstream.
Well, there you have the gap, 9 minutes and 50 seconds. There are a few riders behind the race as well today. A little word of advice for the leader. He's still out in front, and they're looking to pull back about 3 miles on him. We'll take another short break. Welcome back to the Tour of California. Well, it's 15 minutes has gone by in the town of Winter since Scott Neidham went through, but now the big bunch are here in the view of the peloton from the Rock Racing Cam. These boys fighting out second and third at the sprint point. The man that gets second receives a 2-second time bonus of his time, and the rider who gets third will get a 1-second time bonus. And it looks as though the battle is going to be between the youngster Gerard Cholik and Tyler Farrar. Remember, Farrar is only 2 seconds off the overall lead, and he's taking on here. He's the second rider in our picture, but it looks like Gerald Cholik at Team High Road will take out the 2 seconds. But Tyler Farrar has taken a 1-second bonus here, which now moves him up to within 1 second of the overall race lead, and there's still 1 sprint point still to come along the road. So Tyler Farrar heads towards Davis now, just 1 second behind the overall leader Fabian Cancellara on the road. Well, of course, when we get to Sacramento today, it won't be the end of the Californian Tour, because we go on till Sunday down in Pasadena. Enjoy all of the color of this great event here as we head towards Sacramento today. 11 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow is when we will continue our coverage. Make sure you're with us.
Still looking at the lone leader, Neidham, on his own, but it's going to be a very difficult situation down towards the finish. I'm going to have to get my maths book out and start to work out who's actually going to lead this race, because not only has Farrar come to within 1 second, but also Gerard Cholik, who's a very good sprinter, has come down to 7 seconds behind. Bob, that's what it's all about. You have to make your point at a specific moment during a race like this, and still we haven't seen my team of the day, Team Quickstep.
Quickstep hasn't come to the front. They're saving everything for the final burst to the line. And there is Scott Neidham going through the second time bonification sprint in Davis, California. He'll get the maximum points, and it's a long ways to the finish line.
Well, just look at this, guys. This is downtown Sacramento here. A massive crowd again. And so far, this race has been watched by almost 500,000 spectators, and we are only on day 3 of the Tour. So that's terrific for them, and they're waiting to see, will it be one rider or the whole field coming in?
We'd like to welcome everyone watching at home on Versus. You're here in Sacramento, joining us at the finish line, as right now the race situation has Scott Neidham sitting 5.5 minutes ahead of the field. That gap in distance is about 1.5 miles, just a little bit less than 1.5 miles as they make their way here.
Thanks, Jeff and Dave. They're on the finishing line, of course, as we now go back out to the leader here, Scott Neidham. He's got to concentrate now on his final goal, which is to win the day. Just over 5 minutes the gap. He's come over all the high spots of the race today. We're now getting down to that long, flat ride to the finish, and that really is where they will probably try to chase him down before they get into downtown Sacramento. Let's go back to Davis now, because this is the all-important sprint for the 2 remaining time bonus. Again, it's shoulder to shoulder. Scholich and Farah, but this time it looks as though Tyler Farrar will take it. He does. He gets 2 seconds bonus to Scholich's 1 second. So that will now mean that Tyler Farrar has gone into the virtual lead of the race by a single second. He has, of course, still got to get up to that lone leader.
Well, he's got the race lead at the moment in the race, but it all depends on what the finish line is going to tell us, because the first 3 riders across the finish line also get big time bonuses, 10, 6 and 4. I think to win the race or lead the race this afternoon, you really do have to be a mathematician.
Well, there is the rider out front. The gap is just over 5 minutes now, and if he gets caught, it will be a big sprint. And we all know what happens in big sprints. This is what happened last time he came down to Sacramento. JJ Hayedo is the sprinter. His history, he's won 5 stages of the Tour of California, and he'll be very anxious today to get it all back together and try and make it 6 wins. But for the moment, there could be a new leader. We'll take a short break. Rejoin us. Welcome back to the Tour of California. He looks over his shoulder. He's been in the lead for all of the day, but he's still, Paul, about 10 miles outside of the city of Sacramento. And there is the sight that no one likes to see when you're in the lead.
Well, at one time, this man had a 15-minute advantage, but that's what the sport of professional cycling is all about. You can wipe that away towards the end of a race like this, and I'm sure that cold rain coming onto his legs has made it very difficult for that young man's body today, Bob.
Scott Neidham been in the front ever since we left Santa Rosa, California, a long ways away. He's had a great ride for publicity's sake, but as far as prizes at the end of the day, I think very few for the man from the BMC squad.
And not surprisingly to me, the team Quickstep, the team of Tom Bonan, have come to the front now. They're going to try and control the race and get it right this time, because they know Tom Bonan, with 4 wins in his credit this year, he'll be looking for a win here right on the steps of the capital here in Sacramento.
I just noticed all the drinking bottles here that have been placed in the back pocket of the rider who's been in the lead virtually all day. His team manager came up, handed out plenty of fluids for him, because life's a bit hard now from now on. He's going to be passed by these riders. I can't believe he'll have the speed left in his legs to hold on to them as they race into the city. And so he'll need those bottles just to keep the fluids topped up. Now the race is now officially all together. Now this means that we go back to those sprints in the day, and we now know that Tyler Farrar is 1 second in the lead. So he now becomes the virtual leader of this race on the road. That means that if all things work out for him, he could be pulling on the yellow jersey outside Capitol House tonight, and that would be a terrific situation for him. So let's have a look at downtown Sacramento. We're coming into the city rather now. We will finish outside the Capitol building. 3 laps is what we have of downtown, and 2 miles per lap before we finally roll to a halt. Well, moments ago, this rider got clear of the field. Sebastian Turgot of the Bouygues Telecom team. Surely, Bob, he's not going to spoil the party. Somebody has to try, I guess.
Oh, he's taken an advantage of the catch from Scott Neidham, a long ways from the finish line. So he's decided to give himself a little bit of a chance here. Doesn't have any chance if it comes down to a sprint. Also, he gets over this historic bridge a little bit quicker than the rest of the peloton. A bit safer, but right hot on his heels, the whole group. They're starting to wind up the sprint, and we'll come into the finishing circuits in a moment's time.
Well, we'll race into Capitol Park. We'll go under the finishing banner. They'll see 3 laps to go, a total of 6 miles to the finish, and the riders are not very far away from coming into L Street now, Paul. This is a sort of an act of desperation, really, is to try and spoil the sprinters' day out.
Well, these guys will try this very often and hope that there's going to be a bit of chaos on the finishing circuit. But when you see the organization of the teams at the front end of the main field, it is almost impossible for one lone man to stay clear. You can see Team Quickstep there in the pale blue and white jerseys. They're moving up to the front, but they don't want to move to the front too soon in case they weaken towards the end. There's the Capitol right at the end of the street. Then we're right into the circuit. 3 laps of this 2-mile circuit. It's going to be quite dramatic.
Well, we're heading towards the state capitol, Bob, but I've got to ask the question, why do riders do this when they really have no chance of success?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess it's the folly of youth, I guess you could say. Also some publicity for their sponsor. If it comes down to a sprint, they haven't brought any fast men with them. They won't get any publicity at all. So the Bouygues Telecom riders, they're listening to their earpieces. The director is saying, hey, fellas, let's do something. Let's try anything, or we won't get any publicity whatsoever.
Well, despite the rather dreary conditions here, there's a huge crowd now as they get into 3 circuits of Sacramento. And as they entered the back of the circuit, the head of the peloton swept up Patergo, so he's back in the field. The whole field today, all 132 of them, are now coming through to hear the 3 laps to go of the city of Sacramento. Paul, unlike yesterday, all of the sprinters are in the field. There's nobody riding behind.
It's all a question of organisation, though. You see Team High Road, Georgie Hincapie was right up there for his man Gerard Cholek. The riders from Team Slipstream Chipotle, they're up there for Tyler Farrar. And, of course, not too far away, the blue and white jerseys of Team Quickstep. They're going to look after Tom Bonin here this afternoon. And despite the weather conditions, this is an unbelievable crowd welcoming the riders into Sacramento.
And they will be treated to an incredible sprint in a 3 laps time now. The finishing circuits, there goes Haedo in the green jersey. A lot up for grabs, not just a stage win, but also the yellow jersey of race leadership.
Well, this is the big thing now, Bob. If Tyler Farrar gets up and finishes on the sharp end today, he has a 1-second advantage now after his great sprinting out on the open road. Remember, there are still 3 bonuses up for grabs. 10 seconds for the first man across the line. That comes off your overall time for the race so far. 6 seconds for second and 4 seconds for third. It's still not safe for Tyler Farrar. He'll need to contest this sprint.
He has to. You know, this is a very complicated situation. 1 second is the beat of an eyebrow in a race like this. And if Gerhard Cholek wins the stage, then Tyler Farrar has to finish in 2nd place if he wants to don the yellow jersey at the end of the day. But it could go any which way. And I think Bob said just a little earlier, do not discount Fabian Cancellara because he knows how to sprint. But I do feel he won't be too worried about losing the yellow jersey before tomorrow's stage, which is going to be a very difficult mountain stage. So I think there you see JJ Haedo at the back. Now it looks to me as if he's had a problem.
Well, I'm wondering if he slipped off on one of these wet and greasy corners there. And if not, he may have had a flat tyre, but he's got to get back into this and he's got to use a bit of energy because his team, which are CSC, have worked for him all day in the hope he would deliver the goods as he did yesterday in Santa Rosa. We're looking now at George Hincapie in the white in the centre there. There's a short attack going off the front led by Steven Kutzer of the USA and Slipstream Chipotle, but JJ Haedo is still trying to get onto the back of the field. We're not sure whether he had a flat tyre or whether he did fall off, but he's still chasing behind the bunch at the moment. They will get 2 laps to go this time.
Well, there's a lot of tactics playing out here, Phil. A lot of teams are getting themselves together, trying to get themselves organised. As you say, 2 laps to go, but all of the teams are now moving up to the front end of the main field. Bob, this is a moment when you dare not touch your brakes going into a corner because you lose masses of space.
That's Quickstep leading out the team. They want Tom Bonin to get up there for the sprint. He botched it horribly yesterday, and he's looking for some revenge today.
He did, and of course there's always the ever-present danger of riders falling off. It happened yesterday in the last half mile of the stage. Hincapie was one of the victims there. He lost his chance while Haedo went forward. Well, how a life changes in 24 hours at the moment. JJ Haedo is at the back of the field trying to rejoin him. He's got time, but he's wasting a lot of energy.
And let's not forget, JJ Haedo was the winner on this very street just 12 months ago. Sad for him in these weather conditions to slip out of the back of the group, but at this speed, Bob, it's almost impossible to get yourself back into the race.
We might see a specialist in the rain when it comes down to the sprint. A man like Robbie McEwen has done it in the rain time and time again. If you don't like the rain, and maybe JJ Haedo not quite as sure on his bicycle when the weather is wet than when it's dry. So a totally different situation on this year's stage into Sacramento.
Well, as the race is being led by the Ukrainian rider Dmitry Grabovsky of the Quickstep team, he's trying to soften this race up and hope, as Paul Sherwin's tip for the day is Tom Bonin. Can Big Tom get to the front? If he can get a shot at that finish, he is a very fast finisher. But again, the world champion, that white jersey of Paolo Bettini, is also right up near the front. The roads are still wet. We've gone to the head of the race here. It's Team High Road in the white jerseys, looking perhaps for Gerard Cholek or Mark Cavendish to win the day. The white jersey on the shoulders there of the world champion. But Bob, you've noticed something with Mario Cipollini.
Cipollini right near the front there, following Fred Rodriguez, and that's a dynamic duo for the lead out. Wouldn't it be special for Mario Cipollini to roar once again, the Lion King in the streets of Sacramento?
Well, despite Team Quickstep being very well organised at the front end of this pack, I'm seeing Paolo Bettini, the world champion, on that squad, Phil, but I haven't yet seen Tom Bonin. I wonder if he's not able to hold his position in this line.
And there's a Spanish rider gone off the front here in the all-yellow strip of the Shoni Duval racing team. This is Chris Horner on the front for Astana. Maybe Oren Kemp's looking for a lead out here. And Levi Leipheimer is second wheel at the moment.
You have to ride at the front on a circuit like this. Let's not forget that the time is taken when you cross the line. You can lose yourself 15 or 20 seconds. You can hear the bell now in the background. That indicates 1 lap to go of 2 miles or 3.3 kilometers.
And just look at these riders cramming the front. We don't know. Yes, we do. That green jersey, I think, that's coming through the field is now being worn by JJ Haido. He is back and he's just peeping off to the left of our picture right now. There he is, number 47, so he's got back in.
He has done an unbelievable ride, because to get back into the race at these speeds, we're looking at speeds around the city of Sacramento here, approaching 35 miles an hour in these wet and rainy conditions. That is a fine ride. He'll be looking to try and use that nervous energy now, Phil, to try and get himself the win. I also saw riding near the front of this race Gerard Cholek as well. He will be looking to try and win the race this afternoon, because if he wins, then he gets the overall lead as well. This is going to be a complicated calculation.
Very much indeed, but let us not forget indeed about the rider Tyler Farrar, because he needs to get up in the first 3. He has a 1 second advantage after his day's sprinting. Hincapie is up here in second wheel. Is he going to have a go trying to organise this for the white jersey of Team High Road? And that must be for Mark Cavendish.
Well, I don't think it's Cavendish. If you look in 4th place there, it's Gerard Cholek, the leading young rider in this event. And if he gets the win this afternoon and a 10-second time bonus, he's the brand new leader on the road. But Tyler Farrar will have worked that out. He knows he's got to keep very close to the German rider. These final few corners are very precarious. You've got to make sure you get round safely. You daren't touch the brakes. You touch the brakes in conditions like this and the wheel locks, and boom, you are down.
Well, JJ Haido in that Herbalife leaders jersey for the points competition has gone through that corner in 8th place, having chased back into this race. He is far from out of it right now, as the line now is all about lead-out men for the sprinters, and we've got 2 of the Team High Road at the front. I think you're right, Paul, because Cavendish is just in front of Cholek, and Cavendish will be the man to try and direct him to the finishing line.
Well, he led out, the young rider from the Isle of Man, Cavendish, led out his teammate Cholek on a couple of sprints out on the course, not like yesterday when it was the other way around. That's what the sport is all about. It's all about teamwork, all about working together. 5th place rider there in that lime green jersey, by the way, is the Rock Racing Team star, Mario Cipollini, almost 41 years of age. That is phenomenal.
One of the High Road boys overshot on that corner and has gone right out of it. Now, that was one of the pacemakers. It wasn't Gerard Cholek. He's still there in 3rd wheel at the moment, but Cipollini moved up another notch. This is the man who holds the record for stage wins in the Giro d'Italia, set of 42. He's come out of retirement, and there he sits in 5th wheel. And Paolo Bettini, the world champion in white, is moving on the shoulders of the other. He's moving Tom Bonen up.
Bonen now up on the left-hand side in 3rd position, and his teammates line there, and he's losing a little bit of courage going round the corner. This is precarious. Everybody's nervous. Everybody's a little bit scared. You can see Cholek is down into 4th position. Cipollini's in 5th. That was a great acceleration by Paolo Bettini, but this is the long line now of the finishing straight. Acceleration over on the right-hand side.
Well, as we look to the front of the peloton now, they're still searching here for the whereabouts of Tom Bonen, but watch for that rider in 3rd wheel. That is Gerard Cholek. Cipollini and Freddie Rodriguez have forced the way in the lime green colours, and a huge acceleration. And it's Mark Cavendish who's gone at the front. If it is, there's nobody going to get close to him, as he's well clear of the field with an incredible acceleration. And look behind now as Freddie Rodriguez tries to sweep up for 2nd place. Team High Road, they've finished 2nd on both stages so far, but this time, and he's gone. He's slowed down. He was looking for Cholek. He didn't see Cholek. Haido's coming through in the lime green. A big finish by JJ, and a fan Cholek has got it. Oh no, Bonen. It's Tom Bonen. It's Bonen with his head down. I thought it was all blue. Tom Bonen has delivered. The ex-world champion has done what all of his teammates had hoped. He's taken the day.
He tried for that one though, Phil. Just look at that face. He really pushed himself to the limit. That was because of the work done by his teammates. He really came right up through the middle, and let's not forget this man rides for Team Quickstep. We talked about that at the start of the race today. Team Quickstep today were looking for the win. They got it with the #1 man, Boom Boom Tom.
They will feel totally vindicated now, because they were a bit disappointed in the way it worked out yesterday, but there was no doubt about that. Up the home straight, Tom Bonen Those little rainbow colours on the cuffs of his shoulders indicate a former world champion. Look at the speed of Tom. Haido, well, the energy he used to get back left him out of it in that lime green jersey. A clear win for Bonin, and in third place there, looks to me as though it is Mario Cipollini.
Well, that is phenomenal. If that is Cipollini, that is a great comeback at the age of 40 for Mario Cipollini.
So what a terrific finish that was. The lime green jersey, I thought, for JJ Haidu is going to take it, but Bonin, perfection. The big sprinter from the Tour de France last year leaves his marks on the street of Sacramento today. We'll come back in just a few moments with all the results. Yes, and huge crowds in Sacramento have witnessed the Belgian rider Tom Bonin get his first ever win on American soil. And he is our Health Net Move of the Day.
And what a move it was. Just watch the man in the white and blue jersey coming right through the middle. He was in the wrong position with 50 meters to go, but the power of the man from Belgium gets him stage number 2, the win. That's our Health Net Move of the Day.
Let's go straight to the podium, because there is the governor of the state of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he now shakes hands with Tom Bonin, who is a very happy man. You see the flashes on his cuffs of his shirt there. That means he's a former world champion. Now he's a winner in the US, his 5th win of the year already. He did well in the Tour Qatar. Let's have a look at the stage results. Bonin getting in ahead of Heinrich Hausler. Mario Cipollini out of retirement and into 3rd place. JJ Haido in 5th. Further down, Tyler Farrar, that's the important one. Let's go to Bob Roll, who's with the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
There's some pretty big bike races over in Europe, but we have a pretty good one here in California.
Well, I'm so excited about it, and a lot of people worked on that for a long time to get this bike race here, the Amgen race here. And I think that because of Amgen and the Anschutz group, it is possible, and they brought in other sponsors. So it is great to have this tour here in California. It's great for tourism, and I think the riders really enjoy it also, and it's a different terrain and different atmosphere, everything.
What a great enthusiasm, but this man is all smiles, an American in yellow in the Tour of California tonight. Tyler Farrar has done it with his great sprinting. Let's have a look where he sits in the overall classification now. There's no big gaps yet, but he's got that single-second advantage over Fabian Cancellara. Tom Bonin up into 3rd. Bradley Wiggins comes into 4th. Looking further down, for the moment, Levi Leipheimer slips from 4th down to 6th. The top 10 completed there by Ben-Jacques Main, another American riding well. Some notables for you. George Hincapie is in 12th. JJ Haido couldn't make it today. He's 14th. Let's go back to Bob with Tyler.
Tremendous amount of work in the early season from the Slipstream Chipotle squad, and here you get the payoff. How does it feel to have the leader's jersey?
Oh, I can't even describe it. It's huge, you know. It was all my team today. They took care of me from start to finish, just lined it out for the intermediates and just made sure I was where I needed to be at all times. So the boys did it for me today.
Pretty long team meeting after dinner last night with Jonathan Waters at the helm giving you the instructions.
Yeah, you know, we really sat down and looked at it, and we knew this was a possibility, so this was a big objective for us today.
Well, that's congratulations. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, he's in yellow for what is arguably the toughest stage of this year's Tour of California. We go down to a new start town of Modesto, and we head to San Jose. But we climb over 11,000 feet during the day, including the giant Mount Hamilton. Follow the wheel tracks with us throughout the day tomorrow. We will continue our coverage at 11 Eastern Time. That's 8 Pacific Time. After we've seen the time trials and the sprinters have their moments, we're now going to see the climbers come back into the action. And will Levi Leipheimer now take control of this race? There are many, many questions here, but this has been another great day of racing. A little bit of chilly, one has to say. And Jackson Stewart, he's the leader of the King of the Mountains. He'll be in business tomorrow. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. For Bob Roll, Paul Sherwin, Phil Liggett saying, see you tomorrow in the mountains. Goodbye.